Hello, hello. Hello, my gorgeous friends from the internet. How are you doing today? Now, today's session is going to be interactive, and you can download and print the printable template from the link below. And it's best suited for either A4 or US letter size, but you can print it larger or smaller depending upon your needs. And I'll give you time to print that, and I'll see you after the intro. In the last session, we discussed about having a vision for the future that goes beyond the material gains into the deeper feelings of what we want and how, in the deeper sense of what we want, why we want it, and how would that make us feel. How would we feel if we already had all we needed? And and then how would we live our life when we had everything we needed? What would I do? What would you do? What would we do? And so if you did that exploration somewhere along the way, you might have realized that we are not really seeking for the material gains, although they are necessary and they would provide the foundation for everything else. Many of us are actually seeking for either peace. We want to be more peaceful, we want to have better balance in life, we want to be happy or happiness, or you might be looking for freedom, spending more time doing things you love, or spending more time with family, or more time with your friends, or more time traveling. So, consciously or unconsciously, we are always seeking either of these three or all of these three: happiness, peace, and freedom. And if you had either of these but not the other two, sometimes you would feel incomplete. Let's say you had freedom, but you're constantly worried, right? You don't have peace. The freedom won't serve. So you need peace. And if you had peace and if you had freedom, but you were still not doing the things you like, so you were not happy, then you won't really enjoy your life. That basically defines happiness. So anyway, today we are using that feeling and we are embodying that feeling within us, and we are going to find a practical way of achieving it. If that makes sense, let's move forward. Get your printable ready. I don't want you to fill it in right now, but I want to explain a concept after which the printable would make a lot more sense. Our work is going to consume a lot of time, and even a regular job takes 8 hours or 9 hours or more if you include travel. And if you don't really enjoy it, if you don't really like it, I would say if you don't really love it, and if you're not absolutely freaking passionate about it, it's a drag. It will hollow your life. It would pull the essence out of your life. And it won't really feel good to go to work every single day. You would be waking up late, you won't like it, um, you'd feel kind of dead from within. So, opposite of lively. And, it won't really be a fulfilled life. But on the contrary, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you also need to find something you love. because you would be spending more times. If you're spending like 10 hours a day at your job, if you are an entrepreneur, you might be spending more. You might be spending 15 hours or 18 hours in the beginning to just establish yourselves in the market and to establish your brand and to establish your business. And if you hate it, right, if you hate every single second of it, it's not worth it. Better not quit your job and be where you are. So, that being said, now let's move on to something very important. And this is something we learned in engineering in a subject called product design. And this phrase is being vastly misused. But the phrase is called value. And in engineering, we defined value as the ratio of functionality to cost. So if something provides a greater functionality for lesser cost, that thing would be more valuable. It provides a greater value, right? Now, in today's day and age, I would like to add one more thing. I would say functionality plus experience divided by cost, and that would give you value. And because in today's day and age, experience is something people really want, and people would really pay for a greater experience, for a better experience. And like multiple agencies have done surveys on this, and experience is absolutely necessary. Good experience is prerequisite for a good business interaction. So you know and why did we discuss value in the first place, right? We were in engineering, we were not in sales or marketing or anything. We were studying how to design products. And the subject of value comes in engineering because when you are designing a product, you are seeing the world as a place for exchange. So we are constantly exchanging values. Uh, by value here, I don't mean just moral value, but I mean value as an economic quantity. And there could be moral associations with the value, which would be associated with the brand value. So value isn't just the ratio of functionality plus experience to cost. It is also it also has multiple layers, right? You would have perceived value. Like if something is from a brand you like, or if something you perceive as valuable, you would pay more for it, and you would exchange more money in return for that product. And the whole world is actually working on this principle. Everyone is exchanging value, and the more valuable you are, the more successful you are, because people would really want to be with you, would want to spend more time, would want to pay you more. And it all comes to this phrase value. And how do you provide greater value, right? The way you provide greater value is by first being an expert in what you do, right? If you're not really skilled at what you do, you are not really going to be more valuable than anyone else. You will be just an average Joe. Or you might be, you might even be like a jack of all trades. You are not really an expert at anything. Um, then, of course, what another thing that's most important is, you really need to love what you do, because when you love what you do, you will be spending endless hours repeating something and perfecting your craft. It's simple as that. If you hate something, you're going to give up. You're going to give it up, in a day, in a year, in maybe a couple of years, but you will give it up. And everyone has something they love, so they need to find what they love. But if you try to do something you hate, you're going to give up. And the third thing is and this comes with love and passion, but I want to add this as a third entity, because it's about it's about creating a unique expression. Because if you are spending endless hours on something, and if you're really loving and you're really passionate about what you do, then you will create something unique out of it. Like musician who's playing for hours and hours and hours. When they play, their music feels very different. The music feels unique, and it has something special that an average musician doesn't have. What an average musician doesn't have. The same is true for everything. Even when you learn to write, initially you're writing A, B, right? Everyone is writing in the same way. But as you evolve as a person, as you grow older, your handwriting changes. So you are creating a unique expression. And this is equally true with the business, with whatever you might be selling or creating. So, but at the same time, you don't need to do something extraordinary. Like don't need to split heavens and shine some light down in order to be successful. You could do something simple. And I'll give you an example. And I've written down some statistics. So, an average person would spend, if they buy coffee from Starbucks or from some other outlet, they would be spending $1 to $5 per day. For the same coffee, they can produce for 16 to 25 cents at their home. The same coffee they can brew for 16 to 25 cents, they're paying $1 to $5. Now, for a year, they are paying anywhere between $240 to $1,200 for something they can produce at home for $45. So they are paying anywhere between $1,000 to $200 more for the same thing. And why are they doing that? The reason they are doing that is because that morning cup of coffee, right? That one cup of coffee, you need to get started with your day. And most people might not be early risers. I'm not. And I believe many of us are not. You need that one cup of coffee in the morning to get started, to get everything flowing. And, so that one cup of coffee is really way, way worth more than the cost of the raw materials. And the convenience it provides it also adds to the cost. So you don't need to do something extraordinary, right? You don't need to split the ocean into two parts, or you don't need to walk on water, or you don't need to raise the dead. You need to do something with consistency, with some kind of unique expression, with some sense of mastery. And for that, you absolutely need to be passionate about what you do, and you need to love what you do. If you're not, you're not going to be very successful. Simple as that. So we have created a template called the raison d'etre nutshell, and it takes you from outside to the core, through the nutshell to the seed, if we were to use that kind of analogy. uh, you know so we were coming from outside in and finding that passion, finding that purpose. Raison d'etre means, the purpose of being, the purpose of living. And we want to find that purpose of living and find some way to monetize it. Because otherwise, it's just not worth it, right? You would be doing, even if you are getting paid, you would be doing what you hate. It's just not worth it. It's a drag. The French philosopher Camus once said that the only important philosophical question is this: whether to commit suicide or not. And sounds kind of negative, but if you think deeply about it, and I pondered on it for quite some time, I realized what he meant was, figure out a reason to live. Otherwise, it's going to be a drag. It's just not worth it. You will be spending years complaining, and you would say, I'm doing this because people are dependent on me, and you would be training those people to complain, and you will create a whole generation of people who are just complaining and who are not really happy with their life. So we absolutely need to find something we love to do at this phase in order to realize that vision of all the material gains we want, but at the same time we want happiness, we want peace, and we want freedom. And the way to do it is by this, and by finding your purpose, your raison d'etre. And the way we do it is by listing down all the passions and all the hobbies and all the skills we already embody or we already have, you know. And but I don't want you to list down every single thing. I want you to list down the things you actually enjoy doing. And then we can move on. So it's we are cascading, right? We are going from broad to narrow. So we are from that list, from the above, we are going to list down, we're going to filter the hobbies which may have been, or skills or passions which may have been appreciated. Someone might have praised us, like you are really good at this, you really have a good sense of it. Or you have monetized it, you might be paid, you might have got some monetary reward for it. It could be $1, it could be $1 million, but it must be something you were appreciated for, either monetarily or verbally, or if you're not, it must be something you believe has the potential to be appreciated. And then we move on to the next step. And this is very useful if you have not been appreciated either verbally or monetarily, and you believe it has a potential. If it has a potential, someone else must have monetized it. In the age of internet, everyone, I mean, pretty much everything that could be monetized has been monetized. And if it has not been, you might be a pioneer, you might be the first one, but you might see something similar that has been monetized. So look for that. Has anyone earned money from this or something similar to this? But then I don't want you to spend years and years building something and then failing. I want you to fail quick if failure is inevitable, and to learn from that failure and to evolve. So now what we need to do is we need to test this. And we need to find a hobby, a skill, or a passion that we can monetize within 3 months. And in 3 months, we could earn $1,000. $1,000. It's not a big sum, and you can alter it depending upon where you live. So if you live somewhere where 1,000 USD is a big sum, you can narrow it down. Maybe you can bring it to a $500 or something. But that's not important. What's important is you are gaining something worthwhile from that skill, from that hobby, from that passion in less than 3 months. And it might not be sufficient to support you and your family, but it just proves the concept. And the last thing is you need to find something you think you can do in 3 months. And the last thing is you need to find something that gives you joy. It's all about the joy. If you do this and if it pays you, and if it doesn't give you joy, then you're better at your job. You don't need to be an entrepreneur. And so you need to find something that gives you joy, and something you can add your unique personality to. You can create a unique blend of something. That's very important. You need to be able to give it some sense of difference, some sense of eloquence. Oops, my camera died. I was saying you should be able to give it some sense of eloquence. But what I meant it in the sense that you should be able to create a unique voice through your expression, whether it's verbal expression, whether it's some kind of art, whether it's a product, whether it's a service. You should be able to stand out eventually, and that thing needs to have that potential. So we are filtering down, right? We are going to the core. And what guides us in this process is that feeling we discovered in the previous session. So we are going from all the skills, hobbies, all the skills, hobbies, and passions we have, and but that we really enjoy, right? We don't want to add things we hate to do, and we are narrowing down. We are picking the things which could be monetized. Then we are thinking about the things that have been monetized. So someone has already proved the concept for us. Then we want to pick from that, we want to pick the things we can actually test in less than 3 months. And from that, we are filtering the thing we absolutely love to do. And we can add a unique expression to. So, we are constantly filtering down, and we are reaching to this narrow point of, we are going deeper, 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 and we're finding the reason of being. That's why their name is raison d'etre. And the template will help you with this. And I want you to use next few days, maybe next week, to ponder on this, to find this skill, to find this hobby, to find this passion. And yeah, that's it. That's all for today. Download the template if you haven't already. Print it out. Practice it. If you're having a hard time, bring your friends or family to help you. Maybe you can video call someone to help you if you don't have your friends locally present. And just work on this. Find something you'd love to do. Then you won't have to work you won't have to work a single hour forever, because you would be loving what you do. And yeah, so see you in the next session. A wonderful day or night or wonderful life. All the best. Namaste.